Hi, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Michael Yon, and this episode of Kuntarkis is called Kuntarkis on Other Worlds. As you may tell, Kuntarkis is quite the amazing man, and I thought I had this unique question that I would ask him, so here's the question. How many planets have you experienced while being incarnated in this body, this time? How many other planets?
As Kuntarkis.
You are Kuntarkis, and you've taken over Roman's body since the age of 18. While you've been here, how many other planets have you experienced in one way or another?
Okay. In total, which is going to sound not a lot, but if you think about it, it is a lot. It's 19 in total. Including,
that's a lot, yeah.
Yes, including normal planets. That's including normal planets. Like what it is, it's actually 13 multidimensional worlds that I've gone to.
So 13 Earths that are in alternate realities.
That's right. That's
13
correct.
different Earths. Yes.
And 6 with normal planets like going to Dorochaea, the Hemazines, that type of thing. And also I'll actually read them out so you know. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm actually writing something on this. So if we look at, say, Nakaris, I've experienced that several times. And I believe that you're going to ask me something about that for some reason. Also, Dorochaea. That's where the Dragon Society lives, the ones that transform, that the Nakarons have actually helped from dragon into being something that's humanoid, which took a very, very long time.
Looking forward to doing that as a separate episode, maybe.
Yes, that would be very interesting. We'll do that.
Yeah.
And with that, Will, it's either 2 or 3 times. I couldn't get if it was a third, but something came up that I believe it was either between 2 or 3 times that I've actually been to that world again. And I can explain a bit about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, why don't we, because I love what this question can open up, but also, like, obviously, as you go with each one, I mean, you could go into several stories as well, but maybe if we back up a little bit, well, first you started with Nakaris. That's where you are mainly from. That's where you began. So you have been there, like in a physical body, physically manifested body, while your physical body slept on Earth.
Yes.
And so you were recognized there, and you were walking around, and people acknowledged you as Kuntarkis while you were there, right?
That's correct.
Oh, and that's happened several times.
That's correct. I can tell you about an experience that I had only a few nights ago. And that was the closest so far. And I've noticed that it's becoming more intense. And I don't say the word intense as being, say, negative. I'm actually saying it's been a very positive thing. But it's just a little bit more intense.
Yeah, like
because
strong.
It happened so quickly. And if you want me to explain
please.
that, okay.
Please.
My darling wife, Michelle, she sent me away for our 3rd year anniversary for a few nights, so I could actually do a lot more writing on my book called The Dream Assassin Volume 2.
I've just got to laugh. She sends her husband away for the 3rd wedding anniversary.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to send her away, so it'll work out. Good. While I was there, I wrote on the Sunday night, and it was really strange because it took me over 2.5 hours to get from where I am living to where I was supposed to be going, which should have only taken 40 minutes, 45 minutes at the most. But the traffic was so bad because I was looking so forward into getting there early and actually writing for about 4 solid hours. But it didn't work out that way. I only wrote for about 2 hours. But on the Monday night, this is where it happened. I remember writing all day Monday, the whole day. I didn't even go out of the place. And I said, I've had enough. That's it. I've had enough. And I've got to go back one step, sorry. On the Sunday night, after I wrote for a while, I suddenly became really tired. I mean, tired. And I got up from the chair and I walked over to this lounge, and I had two pillows there from the bedroom, and I lay down, and I was sort of half up in the sitting position, but still laying back. And I just fell into the most deepest sleep. I mean, the deepest sleep. And I have absolutely no memory for 2 hours what actually happened. Okay, I woke up. I went over to the computer. I said, oh, it's too late. So I decided to save everything, saved all my material, and I made a green tea. I sat up and looked outside and just listened to the water, the waves and things like that. And I then went to bed. And I remember laying in bed, and I was quite tired. So as I was laying there, I just did this beautiful healing by sending it to my son and to my wife, like I do every night. And then I sent a healing out to all of humanity. But I got this really strong urge to do all of humanity, for whatever it may be. And that took about 3 or 4 minutes. And then all I remember is nothing. I just must have went out to it. And I was still laying on my back when I heard my name being called. Actually, it wasn't my name. It was, brother, wake up. And I opened my eyes, and I saw the whole ceiling, like I got in my actual book, a universe, but it was bright, sunny. And the whole ceiling just became like a massive vortex. It had this like energy going all the way around, and it was a white type of energy, and the sky, and all I could see was Kuntarkis standing there. I looked and I said, this can't be real. And then suddenly this hand came through, and it was my father, Kuntarkis, actually in his not his true form, sorry, in his form as he was when he was in a Charon. And he said, hello, son. He said, give me your hand. So I sort of got up on the bed, and I'm reaching up with my right arm and trying to grab his hands, and suddenly all I could feel was this massive grasp of this hand, because being so large, and literally just lifting me up as if I was a feather, and just lifted me straight through the hole by literally throwing me through the hole and making me land on my feet. And as I looked up, because they're both 7 foot tall, I just said, wow. I said, am I still dreaming? And Kuntarkis slapped me on the shoulder and said, no, brother, this is real. This is time. You've earned it. And Father looked at me and he said, well, before we start walking, I don't want everyone to see you like this. So let's make you like us. So he created my body as I normally would look, dressed perfectly as I would normally dress, in this most silvery type suit, and with this green sort of lining all around the legs, with silver boots that had a bit of green on it, this really unusual colour green. And what I had on the back, the women actually wore this like a cloak, but it came over their shoulders and their arm went through it, and it hung down in the front as well, where the men didn't wear that. They only had it on the back. It looked like Superman's cape, if you remember how Superman's cape was, nearly all the way to the ground and quite wide. And I looked and I said, this looks nice. He says, come. And Father grabbed me on the back and he said, come with me. And we were walking. It felt like about 2 hours. We walked through these unusual parks, which brought back a lot of memories. I saw a lot of Nakaron children. I saw a lot of Nakaron people who all sort of bowed their heads slightly and said, hello, Kuntarkis, welcome. And I looked at them and I said, thank you. And I sort of didn't remember them a lot. But we went through the mall, and then this mall that I remember very well because I was there having coffee, and that went into my book also. And I remember looking around, and he said, would you like, not coffee, sorry, it was Pasaki tea. And he said, would you like a Pasaki tea? I said, oh, I would love one. He says, come with me. So the three of us went into the building, and have a guess what building it was. Do you remember, Michael?
I'm thinking the 3 kilometre tall pyramid one, or is it a different one?
Yes, three of those, mate. And we walked into the first one.
Ah, yes.
And we went up really high. What floor? I can't remember. And I remember the elevators exactly as they are, how I described them in my book. We went all the way up. And you know, I've got to say this. You know how elevators are? They've got like long like ropes, but they're like metal ropes. I don't know what they call them.
Cables.
And they're all cables, and they're clamped in so they don't fall, so you don't lose the elevator. The Nicarons have a system underneath, and the entire base is a propulsion system that works off living energy, and it's green. And all you say is 110 floor, please, and it literally goes straight up to 110, stops at the floor perfectly.
Wow.
Opens the doors, lets you out. And as we actually went up and got out, that my door is right in front. Kalusha's door is on my right, and Kanag's door is on the left, and Father is down the other end. He's actually own apartment.
Yeah, you're talking about your apartments that you
The
all
apartments,
have,
that's
yeah.
correct.
And and while you're here, nobody's living in it. It's completely ready for you.
No one lives in it. Never gets cleaned, by the way, because living energy cleans.
Oh, right, yes.
It does everything. It is an incredible substance when you learn how to manipulate the energy in a positive way.
Wow.
Once you become a part of living energy, really a part of it, it will literally do anything you ask.
Wow.
Now, when we got to the doors are very wide, big wide doors, and very tall. And I looked at the door and I said, Father said, put your hand on the door. So I took my right hand and I touched the door, and the door instantly opened. And as we walked in, I just looked and I could just see the opening, and it just showed there was a valley, and the mountains and the trees were just unbelievably beautiful. And I stood there for a few moments, and Father said, does it bring back memories? And I said, yes, very much so. He said, then that is good. And as I turned to my left, I saw this chair. It was my favorite chair. And it's shaped really unusual. And when you sit in it, it literally shapes to your body in every way, from your back of your neck all the way down to your legs, even on the sides. It's living energy, formulated by consciousness. And I sat there, or I laid there, and I just said, wow, this is brilliant. And Kanag said, here you are. And he handed me this tall goblin, that's what I can call them, very tall goblin, which had a dragon swirled all the way around. And the reason it had the dragon was because that's what I was in a previous life on Doricea. And the dragon represented me perfectly. And what was interesting is it moves slightly. That's what's really interesting. And as I took a sip, I could feel the essence of the nutrients that are so invaluable to the Nicaron system. And it's like drinking no other drink. You couldn't describe it. It's not sweet. It's not sour. It's just so balanced. And it all comes from a fruit, a purple fruit. And it's called Pasaki tea. I put that into the book as well, as you probably are aware. Mm-hmm. And after I drank that, we sat. They sat on other chairs talking, and we spoke about so many things. He asked me all about Narcris. He said, has Narcris grown? And I said, in which way are you asking, Father? He said, in his consciousness, is he still lacking the ability to take orders? I said, very much so. And he started laughing his head off, really laughed, and sort of Canard was just sort of giggling in a sense, a few little giggles.
Just to clarify, we're talking about your 5-year-old son on Earth.
That's right. His name is actually called Narcris. That's his real name.
He is your brother as far as your soul is concerned.
He is my brother back on the planet. That's correct. And he's exactly like that even now. Like, he's very loving, very, how would you say, very cuddly. But he's got this thing about he knows the best. He knows best. It's just quite funny, actually. And then his father actually turned around and said, how's my beautiful daughter, Kalusha? That's how he spoke. And I said, she is wonderful. And he said, is it good being married to her again? I said, absolutely. He said, do you realize that you have been married in many lives on different planets also? Many, many times. And it's always you two getting married so many times. I said, that's because our love is deep. And he said, yes. He said, that is so beautiful. He said, I'm so proud of all of you. And I looked at him, and I suddenly felt tears, which I've never cried. I haven't cried for, actually since I've come here. Wow. And I had little tears coming down, and Canard looked at me and said, ha, brother, you have feelings after all. That's what he said to me. And then he got to a stage, I said, well, it's getting to a stage where it'll be morning on your planet. He said, you can stay here. But he said, I think it'll be a problem back there. So I got up and I came over, Canard came over, and we embraced, the three of us, like in a little triangle. Yeah. And I just said, I love you, Father. I love you, brother. And I woke up.
Wow, that's so lovely. That's so beautiful. And sci-fi and everything. That's so fantastic.
What's really interesting, Michael, is there are people on this planet, and this is the absolute truth, and they know it, that have had the most unbelievable experiences. But the problem is they believe it's just dreams. And so many people still believe that everything is just dreams, or a little bit of confusion of your day, that you've gone through. But what they don't realize, it's actual, real reality. And remember, I spoke about how the spirit goes out of your body and takes what you've experienced throughout the day to try and learn, to bring back more knowledge.
Face fear, etc.
Exactly, etc., etc., etc. It's all about growing consciously. And this is what we need to do as a species, is to let go of all the ugliness of what we've created, the violence, the wars, everything, the greed. And I will say this, there'll come a time, and I think I've said this I think I've said this just recently. There's going to come a time, Michael, when the reality of what I've expressed into volume 2 will become a reality with the Doricans and representatives of Nakaris coming with them to planet Earth to forge a global agreement where they will be by our side to help us if we're ever attacked by extraterrestrials from other worlds.
And they take us under their wing and for us to also grow, right?
And to grow consciously.
To grow consciously, yeah. And the time will come not until we've already grown a bit more.
Yeah, we have to grow more because they wouldn't accept what the Nicarons or the Doricans would have to say. Mm. And one of the big things is letting go of the monetary system. Mm. It changes consciousness when you let go of the monetary system because there's no longer any time for greed.
Wow, interesting.
Mm. So that will actually come.
Yeah. How did you feel when you woke up back in the hotel room near the ocean after you've just been walking and being around with your father and your brother?
I couldn't wait to tell my darling. And she couldn't wait. I mean, I haven't told her, but I mean, I know that she couldn't wait to actually hear it because she loves anything about Father that she hears, and she just wants to know. You know, it's very, very important that I share things like that with her,
Yeah.
and make her a part of it because, you know, the four of us, I mean, you know, we're brothers and we're sister. Like there's four of us, and it's important that we communicate. We're very close from that perspective, and I think as a family, that's really important for learning in self-awareness to try and have a close family. But because of all the chaos, all the anger, the negative emotions, families aren't close enough. They're actually pulling apart.
Mm.
And until we become that individual and seek awareness, we're always going to be the same. I mean, that's why I love talking about different things. Like, for instance, you know, Dorothea, I've had two lives there. I was invited by Tang Yung. He said to me, you know, one time, he said, why don't you come next time when you pass away? He says, put it into your data bank. And he said, you know, come over, and he says, and become a Dorican. And I said, all right. And Kuntarkis said to me, oh, you can't become a dragon. He goes, I said, why not? He said, they're all carnivores. I don't want to come over there and see you gorging as some dead animal. You know, all the blood squirting out everywhere. And I laughed. He was being funny, but I laughed. And I said, brother, they're all vegetarians. Oh, are they? He said, when did that happen? I said, oh, quite a few thousand years ago. He goes, oh, well, maybe I need to keep up on it more. I said, I think so.
Was that Kuntarkis? Was that Kuntarkis, your brother? Oh my gosh, he didn't know.
No, because he doesn't associate. He doesn't associate with other worlds like I do. I get really involved. He hasn't incarnated into other worlds. He's never done any. He nearly came into here, actually. Very close. He nearly came into here. And that's when I'm going to explain something a little bit about the Ilias planet. So I explained that to him, and he was quite impressed by that. And that's when he decided to go to Dorothea and actually meet the emperor and negotiate with him certain things, which he did. And he was very impressed. He was quite impressed that they've all become actually vegetarians to grow consciously, so they have the awareness to project themselves from being a dragon into being humanoid or in that type of manner.
And that was with the help of the Nicarons, right?
Big help.
Yeah.
Very big help, yeah. But also they wanted to change. They wanted to look more like a human, like not like say the word human, but more like a man and a woman that represents that species in many parts of the universe. Because people saw their planet as being vicious, right? They used to war badly, right? But they wanted to change. And that was the whole point. And it took thousands of years to change.
Wow. Just while we're on the Doricans, just really quickly, so people listening are like, wow, the dragons, really? How tall were they in feet, generally?
Oh, the Doricans were actually very big, anything between 25 and 30 feet.
Really?
Yeah, they were huge dragons.
And they had wings and a tail and they could fly?
Their wings were probably, if they were, say, 30 feet tall, right, let's say from head to tail, that not tall, but head to tail.
Okay.
Because if you stretch up, you can be taller. But head to tail, their wingspan would have been about, say, got to be at least 50 feet, 60 feet.
Gee.
They were very streamlined dragons. They weren't these bulky type dragons. You know, they were streamlined.
Okay. Are you saying there were more than one type of dragon? Like bulky?
There were, yes.
There were other planets that had bulky dragons.
No, not other planets, but they were on two planets, the Doricans. They had two planets. But there were dragons there that were different, but all looked the same, but that were more bulky in body shape. And what's really strange is evolution is a very interesting factor. If you look at insects on planet Earth, over many thousands of years, insects are always changing. Mammals are always changing. They had wings, and if they don't fly, they lose their wings. And that's the way things are when it comes to evolution. Of course, there's a consciousness that knows that. That was the same with the Doricans. When they wanted to change, some weren't 100% in that, yet others were striving. They were listening, but they weren't they couldn't make their mind up. So they stayed in their form for a bit longer than the other ones. And it's not as if they transformed all in one go. It took many thousands of years for that transformation to occur. But the dragon that actually did the first transformation was Tang Yung. Now, Tang Yung is a very good friend to me, and he's also going to have his own book, and it's going to be called Tang Yung, Dragon Master.
That you're going to write. Yeah.
That I'm going to write after I complete Volume 2.
Can I ask, is Tang Yung the being that Yakis Kardis mentored every life for many lives?
No. That was Taikani.
Taikani, okay.
Taikani, yes,
okay,
Taikani.
Okay. So back to Tang Yung, he was the first one to change.
He was the first one to literally, in front of all his people, the dragons, right, to literally jump from being a dragon by flying and transforming into like a man-shaped body and land on this big rock. Like they had these rocks as, how we have a stage where we build it out of timber or whatever. Well, they shape rocks as their stage type thing. So we're higher above, the dragons type thing because they're so tall. And he literally came flying down, slowed suddenly up by pushing his wings back and landed on that rock and transformed in that moment into an actual man lookalike.
Cool.
And it was a magic sight to actually see. And I was present in that.
Wow.
Right? They didn't have cameras and all that, but I actually videoed the whole thing with our technology back then. And it was something that I took back to Nakaris and showed the people. And they were overwhelmed. They were so magical. They felt it was such a magical thing to actually see a race of dragons that were once ripping carnivores and suddenly, over all those years, because they don't have time either, but over those years when we look at human time, to literally transform. And when he did that, the cheers, not clapping because they can't clap, the cheers that came from the dragons in their roars was ear blowing because they were so excited. It was like a laughter you'd never heard before. It's just the way they could laugh. It was really bellowing laughter. And when he transformed, because the dragons have got like a bronzy type color with scales, when he literally landed, his body had the scale effect, but it was smooth like skin. And their chest was sort of up the top was bulky out, but their stomach was in, and they were very muscular. Oh, very muscular, because dragons were very muscular creatures, and they had very defined muscles. Now, Tang Yung didn't have a body built like Arnie Schwarzenegger, but his muscles were very defined, and how would you say, You could see it. You could see the shapes of his arms and everything. Like he was a very muscular, but a different shape to what Arnold Schwarzenegger was. Very different. Very different.
Cool.
They're just a little under the size of an Acharon in
So
height.
like 6.5 feet or 7?
Yeah, 6.5 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was quite incredible, but he's changed a lot over these years, and they live a very long life. I'm not sure. I don't think exactly. I've never really discovered that, but they live a very long life as a dragon, even as someone that's been transformed. But his being, each time he evolves, because of his consciousness, his body is losing the scales more and more, and even his face is all changing, and the bronze is losing some of the color of the bronze, and is becoming more that darkish brown skin. It's quite incredible to actually see. But that is his thought consciousness, Michael.
Yeah.
He's forming his body each lifetime as he wants it to be. That's evolution.
Gee, that's good.
Yes.
I want to ask, so you said you've had 2 lives there. 2 or 3?
I'm pretty sure it was 2, but I think there's a third. I don't know why, but I do. I haven't been able to discover what that third was, if it was at all.
So I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned that when you lived on Nakaris, Yakis Kardis, your father, chose, however, for you to always have the name Kuntarkis when you were in your new incarnation. You always had the same name.
That is correct.
Right. So when you went to Doricea, did you also have the name Kuntarkis?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. It's an unspoken truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So does that also mean, is there just one Kuntarkis? Like you've never run into another one?
No, there's no other Kuntarkis. There's no parallel worlds or anything like that.
Interesting. Yeah, the same on Google. Google doesn't have another Kuntarkis.
Oh, there you are. I like that. That's really good.
Okay, so if we get back to how we were talking about other planets that you've been on while you've been physically here in your body, in this body that you're in on Earth,
Yes.
When you went to Doricea, the dragon's planet, were you also, again, what was that like? Were you physical again? What was the experience?
I don't think when I went to Doricea, I think that I was actually, it was an unusual type of experience where I literally only had it for a few moments. And I remember walking amongst these very tall rocks, and I could see dragons flying in the sky. I remember looking up and seeing, because I saw the shadows on the ground, but I don't think I was physical. Like, I didn't take my body with me. And if I did, I don't think I was physical, because if I was, the Doricans would have taken notice of me walking on their planet. Because there were dragons above me. They were flying, could be like several hundred feet up in the air. And there was quite a few of them, so they would have noticed me because their eyes are so sharp. So I think the times that I was there, it was simply just to make a connection.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I was looking for Tang Yung, more than likely. And it's like with the Hemazines, right? The vampire world that we spoke about on one of our episodes. I think also the same goes with that. I remember going there because I was curious about the crystals. I wanted to know more about how they power their ships. And what I discovered was that I created a body, because I remember one of the Hemazines, I believe he saw me in the tunnel where, and what it is, a tunnel, it's a massive tunnel, and you go all the way down on this like, it looks like an escalator. It's rough, but it's an escalator. And you go all the way down, and that's where they harvest. And there were thousands of these green crystals. And they have the ability, and I think I've said this, but they have the ability to cut them off with these devices. They're not machines, they're more laser, and they can put a large crystal, whether it's like, I'm not sure, like say 4 meters long, and maybe say, measuring across would be like say 60 centimeters, 80 centimeters. They can actually put it through a machine, and they can literally shape it perfectly to whatever size they want, so it fits into their propulsion systems. And that literally energizes their ships. And they carry many of them. But they last. They could travel back and forth to Earth several times on that same one crystal. But they have 4 operating at the same time.
Amazing. So what did you, when you said he saw you, firstly, the body that you were in was a human body?
Yes, human body, yeah. And when I was coming up, leaving, and because I believe I was physical and I created a physical body, because if I didn't, I would have hid and he wouldn't have been able to see me. But as I was coming up, he was going down. And he just looked at me. He just stared at me. And I just sort of waved to him, but he didn't wave back. And he couldn't wait to get down because he couldn't come back up again until he was down. So the time I got up there, I woke up.
Oh!
I created a slight panic, so that's my warning bell. I create a panic within myself that I got to wake up, I got to wake up, I got to wake up. And I wake up. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second time, I wanted to observe their buildings. And all their buildings are created out of stone. Massive paneling out of stone, shaped however they do it. I don't know how they do it because I never got to see the machines that actually do it.
Actually, I want to bring something up. Last time we were talking about the Hemazines, you said that they had windows that were yellow.
That's right.
And I wanted to say, because you had mentioned how they really want to avoid too much like sunlight. Light is a thing that they can handle low light, but not to. I wanted to say, have you noticed how like you can get glasses for being at your computer that block out the blue light, and they're actually a color yellow.
That's right.
So I reckon that's what it is. The reason that the windows are yellow is because it cuts out that high frequency light that they don't want.
Yeah, more likely. In other words, ultraviolet rays. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, more than likely you're correct. Yeah, and every building had them in. Every building.
So did you find out what you wanted to find out about these buildings?
Oh, I pretty well did, because I could see the shapes and everything and how they powered all their own buildings. Like everything was powered separately from these crystals. And what they did from the carvings, when they carved the massive crystals, the offcuts were still huge, and they were then shaped to fit into these unusual type propulsion generators that actually powered every house or every building. So everything was self-powered. I mean, God, if humanity could get these crystals, like some of these crystals, they'd be priceless because they're at least, I don't know, anything from 10 to 100 times stronger than any diamond. And we wouldn't have a cutting tool for a start.
Wow.
They used some unusual looking lasers to actually cut. And the lasers were green also. And it shaped, and it covered the entire circumference of the actual crystal as it went through this machine. And as it came out the other end, the offcuts went one way and the main part went out. Then they cut them off to the lengths. Then they put them through another one that shaped them so they'd fit perfectly within the actual propulsion motors. Mm. Yeah, it was interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, with the coloured world, I spoke about. I won't go into that one too much because we spoke all about that. But that was the world that I landed on, and I was physical. And this little being was watching me, and the entire planet is multicoloured. Even the water is the most richest colour. You put your hands into it and bring it up, and it's blue.
Wow.
It's not like our water clear. And when you drink it, which I did, it tasted absolutely divine. And the mineral contents, from what I've discovered, was phenomenal compared to planet Earth, because our water is so polluted, the oceans especially. So that was that world there, and I've been there only one time.
That was not in this universe, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just somewhere where I travelled unknowingly and I let myself go without any expectations, and that's the secret. If you have expectations in spirit world, they normally will never work out. You have to go in to spirit world without expectations. You have to train yourself not to have expectations and go with the flow, because that's where consciously you're meant to go. Now, with the insect world, I spoke to you about that one. That was that little gentleman that was very unusually with his looks and also the way he spoke. He's the one that took me in and gave me this most unusual fruit for lunch and then said to me, well, I am very busy. I must be going. You have to leave now. So he told me quite directly.
Oh, I was with a friend for dinner last night, and I said we were talking about that particular circumstance and how did he let you use the knife? No, he used the knife himself, and you said, "Oh, that's an interesting knife." Did you say?
He said, "I can't have it." He said, "You cannot have it."
Yeah. That's cute. Do you reckon you could hold an apple in your hand and then just slice downward all the way to your hand, and it would automatically stop at your hand?
It would stop at your hand.
It would know, wouldn't it?
It would know. Yeah, it knows the difference between flesh and fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were vegetarians, so it was designed that it wouldn't cut through flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was designed that way. Now, with the Ilias, well, that's a really interesting thing that I actually experienced and discovered. I think I went there because it was in my mind to find out if I was ever married to Kalusha, my wife, Michelle, on the planet. So over time, by training myself to go, I literally went there. And I went there in a physical form. But for some strange reason, no one could see me. That's what I found interesting. Yet I was physical. I could touch things.
Wow.
And the only explanation that I could actually give it is my vibration as a human being, because that's what I was, that's what I am at this time, was different to the vibration of the Ilias. Because they're 19 million years old in evolution. So they have a much higher vibration than it is on planet Earth. And if we went there physically, we may not actually see their planet. And if we do, it may look like it's barren or there's no life forms on it.
So you were seeing them. Do you reckon you could have even touched them and they would have felt it, but they couldn't see you? Does that make sense? Because you said you were touching things. You were. Yeah,
I touched buildings, and I touched vehicles. Their vehicles, because I wanted to see if I could feel the vehicles, because no one was seeing me, because I was bowing and saying hello, because they love the head bowing. They never touch each other, like they don't shake hands because they believe that you don't do that type of thing. But I touched these vehicles and I could feel them. And I said, wow, I can touch the vehicles, I can touch that building, but they're not seeing me, but I can see them. And I felt that was really unusual, and I couldn't really work out why. And I meant to ask Father about that, yet they vibrate at a much higher frequency. Now, it's like when you go into spirit world, spirit. Some people can see spirit and other spirits can actually see us. But there are people who can't see spirit. So maybe it's the same principle. It's just a different vibration, a different frequency.
Yeah.
And I was married to Kalusha, 2 times on the planet Taurus. Taurus.
Taurus. Yeah. Right. Thank you. Wasn't it a good question?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the more knowledge that is given to people, I think it will help open them up. And I also believe that in the next 15 years, there's going to be, I think, a very, very strong evolution in people becoming more aware, especially the new generation, when it comes to knowledge. And I think people will really want to seek a different form of understanding. And I don't think it's going to be the present people, but I think the people who are being born in the last, say, probably anything from 5 to 10 years, when they reach to be a young teenager into young adulthood, I really believe there's going to be a shift in consciousness within those humans. And I think that a mass amount of those people will suddenly go vegetarian for no reason whatsoever. And I think it'll shock a lot of people, because you can't change what is present if the emotions aren't dealt with, especially if those emotions have been ingrained so deeply. But you can change young people's thoughts in a more positive way as they become older, from anything from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20. But if they carry the same emotions as their parents have and do, and they're not helped to understand their emotions, they'll end up like their parents. And that's the sad part. But I get a really very strong feeling that's going to all change in the next 15 years.
That's nice to hear. Yeah, that's good.
And people who are, like, say, for instance, in your physical age, in 15 years' time, I believe you'll be the same but more advanced consciously in your awareness and your understanding. You'll have grown far more than what you're growing now. And you'll want to seek more. People like yourself will do that because you're inspired to do that. And that's what's important.
Sounds good.
Hmm.
Well, did you want to talk about it any more, or do you want to leave it there, Kuntarkis?
I think we might just leave it there at this time. There is something that I just want to express very briefly. I'm creating, I used to do this business on a small scale when I worked with a company called Sony Australia, and also through my seminars. I'm going to reopen up a small business and try and build it up again, where if people, like, say, they want to be able to become a good speaker, like they might want to present a party, they might want to present a talk at a wedding, they might want to present like a seminar or whatever at, say, a business meeting, they might want to present a product, and they're really scared in doing a presentation in front of people. Well, I used to help a lot of people in the past actually learn how to overcome their fears, their anxiety, and how they become really stressful when they know they're about to get up on a stage or present something, to say 20 people or 10 people or 5 people or 100 people. Where I've had experience in many different avenues throughout my life. And I've even taught retail staff how to actually sell certain types of products by knowing the actual benefits. Where a lot of salespeople, when they sell a product, they're not aware of the different benefits of different parts. Like, for instance, all the different cameras, all the different videos, all the different TVs. the different washers, the different fridges. And I used to teach them about Sony products, how beneficial they are, even though they're slightly more expensive when it comes to, say, their technology, against, say, National Panasonic at that time, or Pioneer, or Marantz, Hi-Fi. And they used to love it. And they used to get me to do that quite often. And I would run all these little presentations, and I would teach the staff how to stand up and actually present. And they loved it. So I'm going to reopen a business in getting people to overcome their fears and give them the right techniques in how to present products or just literally a presentation or talk.
Mm.
So I just wanted to mention that. So if people want to do it, we can also do it on Skype. Never used to be able to do it on Skype before. It was always, hands-on, face-to-face. But now that we have Skype, I can do it anywhere throughout the world, just like, doing, say, metaphysical consultations. So if people want to, they can actually email me at Kuntarkis, Kuntarkis@gmail.com. And they can ask questions and I can return that email and we can set something up on Skype or whatever. And if they're in Australia, we can do it person to person. Yeah, I just want to mention that.
Good. I'm glad you're doing it. That's good. Another avenue that you can help people.
That's the whole point, Michael, is to get people to believe in themselves and to help them motivate themselves and become self-aware. If you put self-awareness, motivation, self-empowerment, communication all together, people can overcome anything when it comes to their fears. You have to face your fears.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Well, yeah, thank you so much for all that you've shared. I've really enjoyed this episode. Let us know if you land on any other planets anytime soon.
I will do that. And I actually enjoyed sharing that experience that I had with my father in Kanag. It was the most, I got to say this, it came out of the blue to me. It really did. And it just was a little overwhelming for me because I was so excited over actually doing it like that. Mm. And I even have, and this is what's really interesting, when Father grabbed me by the hand and he pulled me up pretty fast, so easy, I felt a twinge at the top of my shoulder. And it's an old injury from when I used to swing this massive sledgehammer on this V-shaped metal bar to split logs. I literally pulled my ligaments, and the doctor said to me that you'll never be able to use your right arm again properly. It'll always be funny. You'll have no power in it. And I looked at him and I said, you're wrong. What is created can be uncreated if you have the right attitude. And he laughed at me because he said, no, he said, you're wrong. He said, I'm a physical person. He says, and what I've seen on the x-rays, your ligaments are torn off your bone.
Whoa.
Right. And it took me about 2 years of constant moving and stretching and isometrics. And my arm is stronger than it's ever been before. But what's really interesting is when he pulled it and I came back and I woke up the next morning, I felt this real hard twinge in the top of my shoulder. And I pressed it and it was really sore. But that's because when he pulled me, he just activated a null injury a little bit. But it's gone now because I just did a healing on it. And what it was, I believe, was to make me recognize the reality that it was a physical experience.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Yes.
Ah, yes.
Right? Yes. So it was good. And that's the beauty, Michael. Sometimes you just have to accept the unexpected and just flow with it. And when you flow with something, doesn't matter what pain you're feeling, but if you learn to flow with it, it vanishes. But when you have expectations from your emotions upon that point that's causing you pain, it will cause more because you're emotionally attached to it.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, thank you, Kuntarkis. We all thank you.
Thank you so much. And take care, and I'll catch you again soon.
All right. And for all you listening, if you have anything you'd like to share or ask and such, again, just email kuntarkis@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. My name is Michael Yon, and stay tuned for the next one.